but I don't think that's what Ember wants us to do. They still have something more to teach us. Um, so we'll definitely come back to creating components, but for now, let's just go on and then read more. So we have this part here that says outlet. So outlets just says you also add an outlet to this page, which means and then I'll be ended here. We can leave that. So I think right here we only have one route, which is the index. You know, and all that. We could just leave the welcome page for now. So we have only this route. So let's try to create more routes. And so if we put out new to routes, you know, routes are just like, all those pages you visit, slash about, slash about us, slash, contact us and all that. So let's generate some routes. So I'm going to generate my own kind of routes. And I'm going to type, let's create a new tab on our hyper. And then put in paste. And then let's generate a route and call it, what should we do? What should we do? Let's call it something beautiful. Let's call it products. Yeah. Product does not sound like a beautiful name, but let's just do that. Let's call it product hex. And we generate routes product hex. So we should be able to see something like this. Yep. And that is it. That was what we saw. So it says when we do that, we should be able to visit a page called slash product X. So if, as you can see, because I capitalized X and it's in the kind of camel case, he assumed that I meant, separated the hex with an hyphen. So I really wouldn't know the I was going to do that in the browser, but let's just try. So let's try with what we did, which is product X. What the hex? Well, anyways, we won't even be won't even be sure if that was created, but I think what we could do is we could go to yes, so we have something right here. So the way we could know if this was created, someone will do something funny. Let's remove this. Let's remove this on the application page. I think this application page refers to the home page, definitely. So remove that, and then I remove this totally from the home page. And then, so if you go to the home page now, it's empty. It should be empty. Exactly. So I'll put it on the product X page, the welcome page. Oops, sorry. Yes, cool. So I put it right here. And then with that, I try to locate the product X. Since it's not showing the welcome page, then can wrong. Whoops. It's not looking good. I guess me. Okay, I think I didn't save. Come in, please. It's getting really crazy. So, I knew us creating something with, product X was gonna give us a problem because Ember needed to make sense of the camel case we're using. As you can see right here, it turned it into, an hyphenated name. And then in the templates, it turned it into an hyphenated name too. But I think Ember actually relies on what is in the route to the JS to determine how it's going to be named in the path on the browser. So I created a new route called product. You can see me creating it here. Sorry. Actually sort of deleted it when I did, but what I really did follow the previous process where we were creating product X. So I created this and then it created a new template, a new route file, and then added a new field to this, this route.js, file too. So yeah, so cool. So if you go to the product now, you would see it actually saw it. So you can see right here. It's right here. Let me check the. So it's right here. So if I put the welcome page that we had the other time, so it should, as you can see, it brought it up here. So remove it. So now back to the product hex that we had an issue with, this one. So what happens here is the browser actually turns the uppercase to lowercase, which Ember does not understand. So if I put product capital X here and press enter, it turns it into lowercase x, and then the browser does not, Ember does not understand that, because what we have here is product with a capital X. So the thing we can do here, which I found out from this Git issue, is that you just had an extra thing called a path, an extra option with a path, and then you just do something like this to rename it. Then you call path, and then you say something like product -x, and then I could do that here. And then as you can see, it found it, because if you go to our product X page, we have the welcome page right there. As you can see, I'm gonna try something silly. I'm not sure if it will work. I want to see if I put in, actual text, if it's gonna work out. Type nonsense and then save. Okay, brought it out. Beautiful. Love that. I really, really love that. Cool. So as you can see, it works. And then if you go to router, JS again, we could decide to say, okay, underscore product hex. I doubt if that will work, but let's hope it works. It works. Beautiful. Isn't that just beautiful? But one thing I don't want to mess with right here is this first value. I don't know what's going to happen if we do that, and I don't want to waste my time troubleshooting unnecessarily. So we're just going to leave it the way it is. I think I'm going to remove those routes, but I won't do that now, because removing it means I have to remove all the files that have been created that are related to product, to the product routes that I created just to troubleshoot. But then let's just leave it the way it is. But before we go on, I want you to know, like, if you look at my Git changes, you can see we have, let me make this big. It created a couple of files. For each route we created, we had a template file, we had a test file. I love that. I mean, test file, it's beautiful. And then we had a route file. So there's a route file. I think there are other things that can go into this later on, I think, based on my experience with all the frameworks and stuff. There definitely should be other things that goes in here later on when you're trying to like do other things. Yeah, so let's just say, so it creates a template, it creates a routes file, and then it creates a test file, which is, test unit blah blah, and then it updates the route to the JS file too, with some new inputs, which looks pretty cool, tight. So back to what we're doing. I think we're getting ahead, right? Cool. So so I think right now what we want to do is beautiful. So we want to try to edit some of the files we have and then see what happens. So I think let's go back to the product X. So product X. Should we use the product X? No, let's just leave the product X. Let's use product itself. And then I'm kind of confused now. Should I use product X? Let's just use product X. It sounds cooler or something. So, so the page title is product X, which we can also change, I think, to products. So as you can see, live reload changes to products. Let's see, products with a bang. Yeah, beautiful. Products with a bang. Cool. So, let's just leave it there. Let's just bring it back to where it was. Products. So then, so let's do some HTML. Jesus, call the name of the Lord in the So, God have mercy. So, we should just like try to do some whoa. Look at this. Do you guys know just what happened? So I'm really laughing out here. So GitHub Copilot is trying to suggest stuff to me, and I think I'm going to go ahead with it and just see what it does. So just asking me to compare snippets. I don't want to waste your time. Let's just go back to what we were doing before. So let's just write some HTML. So we want to put title, isn't it title, products from mass. Let's put it. So let's see. So I think based on what we have here, we could write as many HTML as we want. Your browser, blah blah blah. So it's just talking to us about what can happen. Right below the H1, it's nested on the. So it says the product X route is nested under the application route. Ember will render its content inside the application route template outlet directive. Now we've got the as scientist template rendering. Let's give it some data to render, blah 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 blah, and all that. So, what I want to do before we get to the stage of rendering data is let's just create some HTML. So say okay, products from mass. So one thing is clear from what I'm seeing here. It seems that everything we're doing is happening under the application HPS file. So the way we can test that is okay. So for instance, let's just do I just wrote products from mass in the product.x HPS. So let's just do product.x so we can be sure where we're doing stuff from. So as you can see, it says products from mass. But just to be sure if all the other templates are under the application template, let's do some HTML here and say h1 test templates. Okay, cool. So beautiful. Everything is under the application template, right? And so beautiful. So we do h2 pearls for mass, blah blah blah, and all that. Cool. So what we want to do now is we want to serve it some data. Waste the time. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to return some data in a very special way. We want to return some data, just play with some data inside the Ember framework. So I'm going to make this bigger, and then we're going to be going back and forth to the documentation, and then back to our VS Code. So what it says in the documentation now is we create a method inside the class of the route, and then we return some data from there, and then after that we call the data from the template. So I'm going to copy this, and just for context and ease, and then I'm going to come here. So let's just close all this first, save. So as you can see, we have inside the app we have routes, and then we have templates, and then we have this route.js, which I love so much. And then so let's go to the route. So inside the route, for you to return some data, you just create a method called model. So this is the method called model, just like functions for classes, and then return some products. So so I'm going to create some products here. So what products should we create? Let's create some fashion products. So we say clothes. No, we say shirts. Sneakers. And we say ties. And then we say some underwears. And then we say hats. So don't do that. Let's just see anyway. Why not? Or let's just use another word. We can say shoes. Yeah, shoes. Looks like sneakers anyways, but all the same. So we create a model, and then we return some some stuffs, some products actually. So we go back to the documentation.